So when I see this phrase, beauty and ugliness, good and bad, happiness and suffering, all depend on mind, that last bit rounds up what I just said there. It really depends on you, your perspective, your lens, where you're coming from, are you aligned, your identity and how that's expressed in the world. And if I can understand that that's how complex it is in my head, there's 5 million other people in this country, and then how many people, are we 7 billion? Are we over 7 billion now in the world? That are all going through that experience. Nothing's cut and dry. There's nuance to everything. That's what I get from this phrase here. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with that particular phrase is it's unbelievably liberating over time when you really understand what's being expressed. But also it's in alignment with our day-to-day experience. So people listening in on the podcast thinking it sounds quite profound. Actually, it is just your day-to-day experience. For example, what people often think of as meditation is like, we were chatting earlier on, I think meditation is just like sitting down, emptying your mind, getting a bit of peace and getting up and then getting on with your day. That isn't the whole journey of meditation. Meditation is really a process by which you get to know your mind at such a deep level and a deep, deep level that you begin to understand that your mind is creating your reality in every moment. And the beauty of that is, if you're not happy with the reality you have, which most of us aren't at the moment, if you're not happy with the reality you have, you can use that tool of meditation to begin to gently, gradually over time, change that reality for yourself, how you experience things, how things appear to you, how your life is experienced by you. So for example, beauty and ugliness. So from one point of view, if I'm angry with you today, Dan, which would be pretty difficult, but if I was angry with you today, you would be appearing a certain way to me. Like when we're angry with our loved ones. When we say that phrase, even, it just sounds weird, doesn't it? Angry with your loved one. Because when you're angry, they don't appear like your loved one. They appear like your worst enemy in the world. We've all had that experience, like you're going out for a meal or something, you're looking forward to the evening, and then on the drive to the restaurant or whatever, the walk to the restaurant, they say something that triggers you. And then all of a sudden you can't let go of your point of view, going back to what we said earlier on. You're driving it home and they're not agreeing with you. And you're saying, but if only you understood what I'm saying.
Have you been following me?
No, all of us. And so we grasp at our view and we're trying to drive it home and they're not listening. They're kind of, don't worry, just let it go. And you're like, argh. And then what happens is within a few moments, all of a sudden you've gone from going out for a meal with your loved one to you're walking down the road with your worst enemy. And then you say, let's not even go. I just don't want to go. Just leave it. I'm going home. That kind of mind. So what's happened is your mind has moved from going for a meal with the person you love to going for a walk with your worst enemy. And so your mind has reshaped your whole experience. And that's why you're driven by that view and that perception at that time to just say, I'm not going for this meal. Why would I go for a meal with you? You're my worst enemy. And we externalize this internal experience. Basically, anger has arisen in our mind. And when anger arises in your mind, there's only one perception you can hold at that time. In the moment of anger, I mean, this is my enemy. This is my enemy. That's what the mind of anger does. It creates within the experience of the individual the appearance and the experience of enemy. And just mean in that moment, it may be that you let go of the anger in the next moment and think, oh, you know what, I'm not going there. And then all of a sudden, the enemy starts to dissolve and it creates a bit of space for you to say, listen, I don't know what I was saying, just forget it. And then all of a sudden, your loved one begins to appear and they appear quite beautiful. They move from ugly to beautiful, independence upon your mind. Now, the challenge we all have is we think, well, yeah, but I have no control over that process. That's not true. You can accomplish over time gradually a control over that process where you notice the anger arising in your mind. And you know that if I give fuel to this anger right now, this is going to be a nightmare of a night for me and it's going to wreak havoc in my relationship with this person I love. So when you notice anger arising in your mind, again, let's look at it practically for someone in that moment. Instead of indulging, just remind yourself, this is going to destroy my peace of mind. It's going to wreak havoc in my relationship with this person over the long term. And also it's going to ruin this night. When you openly and honestly acknowledge what's arising within your mind, you're not repressing it. You only repress what you fail to acknowledge, which is what a lot of people do. They just fail to acknowledge what's arising in their mind. I'm not angry. That's what we say. I'm not angry. I'm just frustrated with you. That's just another way of saying, I'm angry. but it sounds more polite and it puts the burden on them, as opposed to I've let my mind get out of control. So you notice that arising in your mind, openly and honestly acknowledge, okay, I'm getting angry. This is going nowhere good. And instead of indulging the angry thoughts and feelings, which is what we do somewhat unconsciously, and we just keep fueling them, keep ramming home our point of view, instead of doing that, just think, no, just focus on the breath for a few moments. Because they're just thoughts and feelings. They don't reflect who I am, like I was saying earlier. They're just thoughts and feelings and beliefs at this moment. They're like clouds passing through the vast, spacious sky of my mind. And if I don't give them attention, I won't create the thunderstorm they're brewing up. So I focus on my breath entering and leaving through my nostrils. You cannot focus on an angry thought or feeling if you're consciously and mindfully focused on the breath. And what happens to a stirring angry thought and feeling if you don't focus on it? It has to dissolve. They're just like waves. Imagine like waves arising out of the ocean of your mind. If you give them energy, the waves begin to intensify and become a tsunami. If you don't give them attention, they can only go one place, like all other waves, back to the ocean of the mind they came from. So what I'm trying to say for someone practically on those nights when you're having a row with your partner or your friend, is just be aware of that and let the anger dissolve back in, the angry thoughts and feelings dissolve back in. And I guarantee you, if you practice that consistently, your experience will be a return to peace and you're happy. And also, like I was saying earlier on, a peaceful mind is always more naturally a good heart. That's why when somebody loses it with somebody and then they let go and they apologize and they have some peace with that situation or that person, there's always more love the next day.
Yeah.
Because your peaceful mind is giving rise to a more natural love. So practically when we're in that position, we're beginning to see my mind is creating ugly and my mind can shift ugly to beautiful. And what if you were to just do that with everyone, to develop a deeper love for everyone you meet? Well, then everyone you'd feel as your friend. Everyone would feel like, you'd have a warm and friendly feeling towards. And again, you just ask yourself, which world do you want to live in? A world full of enemies or a world full of friends?